Hey, it's Chris and Lisa from Been There, Got Out. And in Sunday's video, we said that we had so many responses to our survey, which you can still take at the link below, that we would send out another message midweek with some more responses to the many great comments that you guys have been making on the survey. So without further ado, the first one's kind of a long one. My ex is still in my life. We have only broken up because he says he doesn't want to be in a relationship, that we need to be friends first. Sometimes it is just friends, and sometimes it is a relationship. I have started to figure out it's the relationship when he needs something or wants something. I am trying to break away completely, but I can't for some reason. Just the other day he sent me a message saying that he loved me and that he was going away for a while. I cried, and before I knew it, I sent back, please don't leave me, please. I know I need to get away, but again, I can't let him go for some reason. Even after he has hit me, stolen money from me, and tried to get me to sleep with a friend of his for money, I still can't leave him completely.
Okay, so I want you to think about if a friend of yours told you those last couple of sentences. He's hit you, stolen money from you, and tried to get you to sleep with a friend of his for money. What would you say to her? You'd probably say run. So, but you can't, and that's the thing why so many people don't understand it, and I'm guessing that what he's doing, on top of all these terrible things, is the opposite, which is called intermittent reinforcement, where in between these terrible things that he does to you, he treats you so kindly and so lovingly that it's very, very difficult for your brain to process those two completely different feelings around this one person, and that's part of why it's so difficult.
It's like the hit of a drug, right?
Yeah. It's very complicated, and the reason we picked this particular piece to start off was because it's so relatable, I think, on some levels, that so many of us in these toxic relationships, our brain knows that we should go, but we can't. Well, part of our brain knows that we're supposed to go, that we should go, but we can't. So, yeah, a lot of mind games. Okay, next. How about some tips on how to move on without the love of your life?
Yeah, so I remember so clearly when I was in my toxic relationship thinking, this is the only one for me, she's the perfect partner for me and all this, when it wasn't true the whole time. It started great, lots of fireworks at the beginning, but it was not a healthy relationship. I was being manipulated and groomed, and it was like being in a cult. So my answer to that is, I don't know how to, it's a big topic, how to move on, but I would question the premise there that this person is probably not really the love of your life.
Yeah, but keep in mind too that in the very beginning of the relationship, part of the way they lure you in is they make you feel, and they'll even tell you straight out, you're my soulmate. So when you start off like that, you're already thinking, this is the love of my life, this is my soulmate, this is who I'm meant for, but it's not the love of your life. Yeah. The love of your life comes later, we hope. All right, what's next?
Okay, so trying to understand how someone could be so cruel and use me the way he did when I was just kind, giving, and caring. Getting upset and suffering a setback every time I see him out and about, looking smug and moving on. Wondering, can I trust again? Devastated to learn about narcissists and their dirty little secret, which I appear to have been. Angry that I didn't stop it straight away, as I felt from day one he was fake, big-headed, selfish, a player. But I'm getting there, healing each day, and the more material about narcissism I read, the more I understand it's not my fault. I just want to forget the whole episode now and move on.
Okay, so there's a lot in it.
There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think when you first start learning about narcissism, and not just their one dirty little secret, but it opens up a whole world. I know it did for me too, and I also thought one of the biggest epiphanies was, wow, it's not my fault, because I really thought it was, and he led me to believe that the relationship, everything wrong with it was my fault. The problem though is that you really, your last line saying, I just want to forget the whole episode and move on, it's probably not just an episode, and it's not something that you can just forget about. It is a really big deal. There's probably significant reasons why you became involved in a relationship like this, and people in relationships like this have a tendency to get involved again and again with the same type of personality. So this is one of those relationships you should try to take the opportunity to really work through, not just forget about. And that's why Been There Got Out is, in the next couple of weeks, we're offering our membership program, which involves a community of people all working through this type of relationship, how we got in it, why we stayed, and how to get out and stay out. Okay, next. Here's one. My toxic ex left me for a younger woman and has a baby with her, and they are engaged. He and I were together 8 years, and we were engaged as well. I was pregnant twice but miscarried. It has been a year, and though I have done some healing, it's nowhere near enough. I still miss him when I know I shouldn't. It hurts to see them happy and in a better position than me, which is an assumption, and it angers me to see him get away with what he has put me through.
Yeah. So narcissists never really get away with it. Okay, they are inherently unhappy. They tend to be depressed. They have a very complicated brain structure that their life is very difficult. Let's just put it that way. But they're also all about appearances. So if your partner has moved on and has a new relationship, that relationship will probably not end well either. And right now, all he's doing is trying to put on a real good public face. So he looks happy, but it's very, very difficult for a narcissist to truly be happy for very long.
And
It's all very
imagine,
fragile.
right, imagine you probably know what his partner is going through or what she will be going through because they just repeat the same patterns. So try not to believe what he's presenting to you because it's not real. Okay, next. We are constantly fighting about the same issues. Every time to talk it out, it ends up in a fight. He's physically and emotionally abusive. He's a stay-at-home dad while I am the sole breadwinner. He makes me do all the household things that he should be doing. He doesn't like me working, but how can we both get by without my working? Lately, he has been actively sleep depriving me, making sure I only get 2 to 4 hours of sleep at night. He throws cold water on me several times a night and throws ketchup on me. He breaks things in the house, including our toddler's toys. Last night, I came home and my bed was broken into pieces because of his anger. I am lost over what to do. He constantly plays the suicide card on me. He has taunted me with his handguns and also shot a gun off twice in my house, all while my baby and I were trying to sleep.
But talk about covering a lot of ground.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so two things, I mean, there's a lot in there. Two things popped out to me is one, this idea of throwing water on you while you sleep or putting ketchup on you. When you're in this kind of a relationship, it's not always apparent how really, truly bizarre the behaviors are. And those behaviors are bizarre. Breaking your bed, breaking toys, having handguns, all that stuff, it's not normal. And if you talk to, your friends or whoever's in your support network, us, you're going to see that. It's totally not normal. The other thing that popped out to me was, and this comes up a lot, is it's actually one of the questions on our quiz, suicide, the threat of suicide. My ex, from very early in our relationship, she was always talking about, how she would consider killing herself. And that made me go like, oh no, my poor beautiful flower, how could you possibly do such a thing? And it just sucked me in as an empath. And it is a pretty common theme, the idea of suicide and threatened suicide. It's rarely real, but...
Yeah, the suicide card is really familiar to me as well. My ex used it in the very beginning of our relationship, where that was like the third stage of his drunkenness. It would start off with lovey-dovey, saccharine, disgusting, turn into belligerent, and then it would turn into the suicide card, where it was like, oh my God, if you don't, if you ever left me, I would kill myself, and it hasn't happened. So you never know, but it's a common manipulation thing to say, I'm going to kill myself, and that's what keeps a lot of people in these terrible relationships.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of that, next one. I'm separated for a year. I left, but he won't let me go, and I am not sure I made the right decision. I feel so guilty. I have agreed to couples counseling starting, but he is weakening my resolve.
Okay, so that also prompts a couple of thoughts. First of all, couples counseling, we've talked about this before on our videos. Couples counseling almost never works with somebody if they're a narcissist or other toxic personality. They don't have the ability to be introspective and truly change. So it's unlikely to be productive, it might even be harmful. And it's likely that your partner, if they are a narcissist, they'll manipulate the situation and kind of play, unless you've got a phenomenal counselor who sees through it, and even that's not going to help. They're likely to manipulate the counselor.
Yeah, it's actually, I found in my own extensive experience with couples counseling at the end of my own marriage, it's a delaying tactic. They want to keep you in the relationship as long as possible, so they're doing what they think you want them to do, but it can cause a lot more damage than you would imagine.
Okay, so the next one. I'm with a very controlling man. I'm never allowed to get upset. If I do, he gives me the silent treatment, and everything is my fault in the relationship. I found a lady's nightgown in our room, and he said he thought it was mine. I knew differently because I clean out the room, and it wasn't there before. And he had the nerve to ask me if I wanted it.
I can totally relate to this, and I know a lot of people can because they've had very similar situations. For me, it was finding a pair of young women's underwear in the dryer, and our daughter was like 6, so it wasn't hers. It definitely wasn't mine, and I didn't know how it got there. I questioned him about it, and he was like, "No, that's yours. That's yours." I said, "No, it's not mine. I'm sure it's not." And he was like, "Yeah, but they're nice. Like they're yours." And no. So. This happens a lot. It's scary. Okay, and last couple.
All right. Yeah, so lastly, these are two different ones that pair well together. First one says, give me the strength and encouragement to know I can do this. And then the second one was, I guess I need a shot of courage and a kick in the ass. I know what I need to do, but it is hard and scary.
Yes, and I am so glad that you have acknowledged this, that it is hard and scary.
Whatever you do.
Yeah,
right?
whatever
Whether
you do.
Stay or leave or whatever.
Yeah, whatever you do, it is hard and scary, and it's a process, and it takes a long time to do that, and I think it requires a lot of support from people who understand, because it could be rough, and there's moments of triumph, so we can help you. We can help you. We can definitely give you the encouragement and the strength to do whatever it is you're going to do.
So keep watching your email inbox. Very soon we're going to announce our lifeboat course, which we've been talking about for a while, but we're just about ready to go.
Yes.